Hello, I'm Francis.
Hello, I'm Carolina.
I'm Connie.
Thank you everyone for being here today. You guys saw my colleagues here at the Inter-American Development Bank. They're here to watch a policy prescription presentation that I'm making about Brazil. And we cannot address development in Brazil if we don't address the situation the country is in, the political situation they're in. The current president is under impeachment proceedings as of last weekend. The House of Representatives in Brazil has voted to impeach her. Hopefully, the Senate will too, and that will make it official. Brazil definitely needs a new government, needs new elections, it needs a transparent government. You cannot manage a country and its financial resources without being transparent. And I think that's what Brazil needs moving forward. I think it's a good opportunity for Brazil to develop. Will be ending its corruption cycles. It started with Portugal when Brazil was just a colony of exploitation. A small little elite, both in Brazil and back in Portugal, would keep 90% of the country's resources. Right now, it's no longer a colony, hasn't been a colony since 1822, but the elite is still taking most advantage of most of the resources in Brazil. Why do I think Brazil has a chance to become a developed nation? According to the World Bank, Brazil has the seventh largest economy in the world. As of 2014, the country's GDP was about $2 billion, being behind only the United States, which is number one, China, Japan, Germany, the UK, and France. So with the exception of China, all the countries in front of Brazil are developed nations. So Brazil has a developed nation's economy. But why it's not a developed country? Brazil also is the fifth largest country in the world, and it has the fifth largest population in the world. So that means they have a lot of consumers, and that means the economy can definitely circulate. So why isn't Brazil developed? Brazil also ranks number 4 in number of mobile phones and in internet users. So they definitely have the means to research and communicate. Brazil also has one of the highest income taxations in the world, 27.5% of their incomes for medium class and upper middle class are gone to the government. So what is the government doing with this money? Why isn't Brazil developed? Let's start by inequality. Brazil ranks as number 14 in inequality in the world. In front of Brazil, you only have African countries, South Africa, Cameroon, Namibia, Botswana. You have Haiti, which is one of the poorest countries in the world. You have the Central African Republic. You have Belize. You have Colombia and Suriname, which are countries that has a lot less money and a lot less GDP than Brazil. In comparison, the United States ranks as number 57, and the United Kingdom ranks as number 75 in inequality. So you cannot develop if your country is unequal, because that means the money is being concentrated in the hands of few, and that money needs to be dispersed amongst majority of their society so that people can have a good quality of living. Brazil also has a horrible health system. Out of 191 countries, Brazil has ranked 125th. 125th. Brazil has SUS, which in Portuguese it means Sistema Único de Saúde, which in English would be the only health system. That's a little misleading. That is a governmental program that treats people for free. They have public hospitals. The current wait in these public hospitals is about 3 months. They don't have good doctors because they don't pay well, so most doctors don't want to work for the public hospitals. They don't have the necessary equipment to make x-rays and other exams. We must change that. The government must invest in healthcare. Education. Education is key for development. Brazil ranks as number 38 out of 191 countries, which is not bad, but it has to get better. All the other developed nations are amongst the 20 countries. South Korea being number 1, Japan, Singapore, Hong Kong, Finland, United Kingdom, Canada, Ireland, Germany, Russia, and so forth. Through education, you can help people make better decisions, educated decisions, sound decisions. They can vote properly, so they can actually choose their governmental officials to represent their interests. You can also end the poverty cycle, since you can get a better job and hopefully get you and your family out of poverty. There's a huge difference being an unskilled worker and a skilled worker. You can afford to live in better areas of the city. You can afford to give your kids proper education. Crime rate. The homicide rate in Brazil is one of the highest in the world. This is a chart that I have here from 1981 through 2009, and the homicide rate in Brazil is just increasing. Brazil, unfortunately, does not invest in the police system as much as it should, and also you can easily buy a card to get out of jail, a free out of jail card in Brazil, as long as you bribe the correct person. So Brazil, again, needs to end its corruption and its bribery politics in order to develop. Brazil also has the highest LGBT hate crime in the world, more than any other country. So it's not a country that is safe for the gay community, despite having carnival and seeming to be a lot open-minded than it is. It has a very high LGBT crime rate. So in order to develop, we need to reduce these numbers. We need to hold criminals accountable. They should not be able to get out of jail easily. We need to stop corruption in their system, both in the jail and in the government, to keep these criminals in jail. So I gave you guys a few examples. The lack of involvement with the government, the lack of punitive actions, what happens in Brazil. That's the way to develop. We need the government to take things seriously. We need the government to be transparent. Right now, the country is under a horrible inflation. The US dollar right now against their currency, which is real, $1 is 3.70. As of last year, $1 was 2.50. So you can see a huge increase, almost double in price, because of the inflation that they're having right now and the lack of transparency. Brazil relies a lot in foreign investment, and right now, foreign investment can easily come, but they can also easily go. Until foreign investors believe that Brazil can be transparent and can trust the government of Brazil, they're not going to return. And if they don't return, inflation is not going to get better. We need to have dollars circulating in Brazil, into the Brazilian economy, in order to bring the cost of the dollar down. Also, it's not fair to have income tax of 27.5% towards the middle class and also the upper class if that money is not going to be invested in health, education, and security. Right now, most people in the middle class in Brazil, they need to have their private health insurance to be able to see a doctor. They have to send their kids to private schools so they can get proper education and join the job market, and they need to hire private security. Recently, you have also seen on the media, also by being from Brazil yourself, you've seen on the media a lot of protests of Brazilian citizens protesting against the World Cup and the Olympics because the government is investing a lot of money opening stadiums, museums, privatizing airports, where they actually need health, education, and security. So Brazil needs to get their priorities straight, but I am hopeful that Brazil can develop. It has all the tools to develop as long as the government has a plan, is transparent, and invests money in the areas that I mentioned earlier. Thank you very much for being here today.